Without doubt, this first 100k is the hardest money to make, by far. There is a reason why they say money goes to money and the rich get richer. So in this video, I want to explain why the first £100,000 of your investing journey is so hard, why it's so important to get there, and why the next 100k is so much easier, and why the one after that is even easier again. It's fair to say the odds can certainly seem stacked against you when you think about your financial goals, particularly these days, with ever increasing demands on your money, just to get the bills paid, get food on the table, keep the roof over your head, and still have a wee bit left over to enjoy yourself. But if you're thinking that wealth and financial freedom are just too far away to even be bothered attempting to build wealth, then in this video I'm here to offer you that encouragement to get that elusive first 100,000 in the bank, and why it's so important to do so, even if I'm not yet there myself. Today I'm living that journey to get my first £100,000 into my stocks and shares portfolio right now in public here on YouTube, and I can tell you it's sometimes hard to keep that grind up. At the last count we are over halfway there, chipping away trying to hit that 100k. But why 100,000? What is so special about 100,000? Let's refer to one of the greatest investors of our time, Charlie Munger of Vanguard fame. On getting to that milestone of 100,000 he said, "It's a but you gotta do it. I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, you find a way to get your hands on $100,000. Of course, it's dollars in his quote. I just live in the land of the pound, so is 100,000 even that important? Why not 90 or 95? I do think that 100k figure is a little bit arbitrary. However, it is 6 figures instead of 5, and that is a real psychological difference. You can really look at any 6-figure number and think, wow. You probably get the same feeling seeing a 5-figure number for the first time, but once you hit 6 figures, well, things are going to really change fast. Charlie Munger's financial pedigree isn't in doubt, but what he really understood were two things. What came after 100,000, but maybe more importantly, what had to come before it. So if we set this 100,000 right in the middle of our timeline, let's look at the end goal first. With a stack of cash comes a stack of choices. For sure, money can't buy happiness, but I very much believe it is a real tool for opportunity. The more you have, the less effort you have to put into getting more of it, and the more time you can spend doing what you want rather than just swapping your time for money. You might even imagine a scenario where you have so much money you can spend the day playing golf, taking a few more trips, or sitting on the beach with family. That's pretty cool. The more money you have, the more choices you have for getting that money to work for you while you do something else. Because of things like bank interest rates or dividends or stock market growth, with a bumper bank balance behind you, you're less likely to have to trade your time for money. This great big whack of cash could be sitting in a bank earning interest. Perhaps you could invest in stocks and shares. Perhaps you could grow your own business or outsource more of your work in that business to buy back more of your time. These are things that generally aren't feasible when you don't have much money. When you don't have much money to begin with, there just isn't enough of it to pay people for expansion or wait for annual bank interest or things like that. So keep in the back of your mind this end goal of having a big whack of cash, and let's go back and look at the other end of the timeline, which is having no money built up at all. You're starting from a position of nothing, and from that point of view, you typically have nothing to trade but your time for this money. A job. You need this job to make money because you can't have money in the bank to make you more money if you don't have any to begin with. You can't play a tune on an air guitar. So as I said before, with the cost of living the way it is these days, you can see why people never even get started in trying to grow their pot. Excuses are easily made when it just looks like too much to do, considering everything you have to do just to make it from day to day. The finish line, if there even is one, is just so far away that people never get started. So just hold on to that thought for a second and go back to this quote from Charlie Munger. The point Mr. Munger was making is that at 100,000, you hit your first milestone where the returns really start. Nobody's really saying hit 100k and stop, but rather it's at this point where the scale of your investing operation can start to make a material difference in your life. Getting to that point is the tough part, but if you truly want to live a financially freer life, you're going to have to do what's necessary. Make more money. The early days of investing are hard graft. You have to accept that for you to get your first 100k, you're going to have to contribute the vast majority of that yourself. You just don't have enough money to see significant investing returns on any investment in the early days, so you need to make more money as quickly as you can. So what I mean when I say you don't have enough money invested to make significant returns, say you have £1,000 invested and you can earn, say, 8% on that money. After a year you've made 80 quid. Big whoop, it's not going to change your life, but with 100,000 in the bank, that same 8% is going to net you £8,000. If you're the sort to invest in an ISA as well, then that's going to be tax free. We need to get as much money invested as quickly as possible so we can hit those big numbers faster and take our foot off the gas so much sooner. So there's a few ways you might go about this. Changing job to get a pay increase is the obvious one. Starting a side hustle is another popular shout. You might teach a skill that you have, playing a musical instrument. You could try freelance writing, or maybe just open an Airbnb with your spare room. It might just be that you need to cut out your unnecessary expenses and lean towards a more frugal lifestyle. Likely your solution is going to be a mix of all these things. Trim the less valuable aspects of your spending and invest as much as you can is the general idea. But look, as I said, the biggest problem is deciding to start. I've never met a rich person who sat in their arse waiting for things to happen. I've never met a person who did nothing that became rich. The faster you can build your pot, the faster market forces are going to help you grow your wealth and the fewer contributions you're going to have to make for yourself. Getting to that first £100,000 can be brutal and sacrificial, and you should expect to be if you're serious about cracking this nut. But in the name of helping you see the big picture here and seeing the long-term benefits, let's look at an example as to why the first 100,000 is the hardest and why each of the next 100,000s get easier each time. Just imagine for a second you can invest £833 a month. That's £10,000 a year. It's not a small sum by any stretch, but it's good for illustration with those nice round numbers again. With that then, let's imagine a 7% return. It's going to take between 7 and 8 years to hit that first £100,000 with that kind of investing rate. The next 100,000 is going to arrive shortly after 12 cumulative years. In fact, it would take less time to go from 600,000 to £1 million than it does for your first 100,000. That's assuming your rate stays the same and you don't increase your contributions. And of that £1 million, over 70% would come from accrued interest in the market and less than 30% from your own pocket. So what is the takeaway here? Well, my message to you is to get started. Time can be your friend or your enemy. Start small, start early is what I would implore you to do. Personally, I'm investing in low-cost index funds and ETFs with InvestEngine and Trading 212. Stock picking just isn't for me. I want something I can throw my money at come rain or shine and I don't have to think about it too much. Or at all, really. There are links in the descriptions below if you want to check those products out. By investing this way, I free up my time to either put more effort into my side hustles, to learn new skills, to try and increase my salary in the workplace, or just spend my time doing what I want rather than having to sweat every investment decision. I'm not at 100k yet, but I will be soon. And if you want to see exactly how I'm investing my money, then watch this video next.